Texas.
Presented by Fan and Bank. Main at Holcomb in Uptown Houston. We'll go to work with you.
The Eyes of Texas have been trained this week on some very heavy subjects in Baytown.
We're here at the Friendswood Public Library talking to the host of Eyes of Texas, Ray Miller. When was your first job as a television director?
I was, let's see, in the about 1960, I guess it was, the original news director at Channel 2, a man named Pat Flaherty, died. And they moved me up into his job, and it was about 1960.
What do you like most about broadcasting?
I think the most interesting thing about it is that it's, now I don't think of myself so much as being a broadcaster as I think of myself as being in the news business most of my life. And so it's the broadcast news business, but to me it's more news than it is broadcasting. You understand what I mean? Because there's a lot of broadcasting that isn't news, and I don't know a whole lot about that kind of broadcasting, being an entertainer or playing the guitar or whatever. But so I think of myself as being in the news business, and the thing I like about the news business is that it's different every day.
How many years did you work at Channel 2?
Oh, from the time there was the Channel 2, and I worked for the radio station before that, so that the total amount of time I guess I've spent with KPRC radio and television would be about somewhere between 30 and 35 years. I never have added it up. I'm afraid it might make me feel old.
What kind of work did you do before hosting the Eyes of Texas?
I have never done anything except I was a sailor once in a war that I didn't have anything to do with starting, and not a whole lot of choice about being in. But except for that, I have worked in the news business all of my life.
How do you get your information for your guidebooks?
It takes an awful lot of reading. You wouldn't believe how much reading I have to do in order to write one of those guidebooks.
Where do you get your information that you talk about on your shows?
A lot of it comes from just the fact that we've lived in Texas for a long time and read a lot of books and studied a lot of history, and then the biggest part of it comes to us from people who watch the program. We get letters and cards all the time from people saying, did you know this or did you know that? And a lot of times we didn't.
Do you have any advice for people that want to have a goal in television?
Well, yes, study English, of course, and journalism, and get into the news business. It's possible to start in television news. It is also possible to start in newspapers or in radio and then move into television. So it isn't necessary to begin in television.
Started in the journalism field.
Well, I guess I don't know that I ever set out to work in the news business, but I was studying journalism in high school. So as early as it was possible to take courses in journalism, I was taking courses in journalism. Now, the first job I had at a radio station, it was just a beginner's job. I was the office boy, and I handled the mail and went to the post office and did all that kind of thing. That's the first job I did in the broadcasting business. But it got me inside the door, and once I was inside the door, I realized that for me the most